I never planned to become that guy. You know the one? The guy every neighbor suddenly has an opinion about. The guy people whisper about at HOA meetings. The guy whose name gets typed furiously into neighborhood Facebook groups. All I wanted was a quiet lake. No crowds, no jet skis, no screaming kids throwing rocks at ducks. Just water, silence, and maybe a fishing line at sunset. That's why, when I saw the listing, I thought it was a mistake. Private freshwater lake, 14 acres, includes shoreline and submerged land rights. I read it 3 times, then I zoomed out on the map, and that's when I noticed it. Right next to the lake, wrapped around nearly half the shoreline like a bracelet, was a pristine cookie-cutter suburban subdivision. Perfect lawns, matching mailboxes, and right at the edge of the water, a faded wooden sign that read, Lakeside Community Resident Access. I should have known right then, but I didn't. I bought the lake anyway. The closing process took 6 weeks. Surveyors, environmental disclosures, water rights, submerged land clauses. The title company triple-checked everything. The deed was crystal clear. Not just the land around the lake itself, the water, the lakebed, the shoreline, every inch, private. When I finally held the deed in my hands, the agent smiled and said, "You're going to make some neighbors very unhappy." I laughed. I thought she was joking. I moved into the small house on the far side of the lake, away from the subdivision. I put up discreet, tasteful signs near the shoreline closest to the homes. Private property, no trespassing, no fences, no chains, no hostility, just signs. For 2 days, nothing happened. On the 3rd day, I heard shouting. I looked up from my dock, and there she was, standing on my shoreline, hands on her hips, blonde bob haircut, sunglasses pushed up on her head. Phone already recording. She didn't wave. She pointed, and she yelled across the water, "You can't do this!" That was the first time I met HOA Karen. She marched toward my dock like she owned it. I stepped onto the planks, calm, polite. "Can I help you?" She scoffed. "You sure can. You can take down those ridiculous signs." I gestured toward the shoreline. "They're required. This is private property." Her laugh was sharp, almost rehearsed. "Oh, honey, no. This is a community lake. We've used it for 20 years. I nodded slowly. "I understand you've used it, but I own it now." She leaned closer. That's not how lakes work. Behind her, I noticed movement. Neighbors. Phones out. Kids standing ankle-deep in the water. A man in golf shorts folding his arms. Karen crossed her arms too. "Our HOA guarantees lake access. You can't just buy it and kick us out." I stayed calm. I didn't kick anyone out. I just posted signage. She jabbed a finger toward my chest. "You're violating our easement." That word again. Easement. I'd heard it before, during closing, so I said evenly, "There is no easement on my deed." Her face changed. Disbelief first, then anger. Then that tight smile people get when they decide you're the villain. "I'm the HOA president." Of course she was. "And we'll see about that." She turned dramatically and announced to the onlookers, "Everyone, don't worry. This will be handled." Handled. That night, my doorbell rang. A man handed me a letter. HOA violation notice. Subject, obstruction of community amenity. They demanded I remove the signs within 48 hours. I laughed. Then I read the last line. Failure to comply will result in legal action. That's when I stopped laughing. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because I was worried. Because I was fascinated. How does an entire neighborhood convince itself it owns water it doesn't? The next morning, I emailed my attorney. By noon, he replied with one sentence. "You're solid. Let them try." 2 days later, Karen showed up again, this time with backup. 3 HOA board members, a printed packet, and a portable lawn chair because she planned to stay. She slapped papers onto my dock table. "Here, the original subdivision plan. See that blue area?" I looked. The lake was shaded. She smiled triumphantly. "That means common use." I calmly slid my deed across the table. Stamped. Recorded. Signed. She didn't touch it. That doesn't override community rights. My lawyer, standing beside me, cleared his throat. "Actually," he said, "it does." Karen snapped her head toward him. "Who are you?" "My client's attorney." Her voice rose. "Then you should know this lake has always been public to residents." He smiled politely. "And you should know that use does not equal ownership." Silence. Then Karen exploded. "This isn't over." A week later, I was served. The HOA sued me. Claimed implied easement, prescriptive rights, community reliance. They demanded the court force me to allow access. Karen went on Facebook Live. "We're standing up to a greedy outsider. I became the villain overnight. Someone threw trash onto my shore. Someone else scratched my truck. And then, the judge scheduled a hearing. The courtroom was packed. Karen sat front row. Confident, smug, she whispered to her lawyer, nodding. Their argument lasted 30 minutes. Emotion, history, photos of kids swimming. Then it was our turn. My attorney stood. He held up one document. This is the recorded deed. He walked it to the judge, explained submerged land rights, explained no easements, explained surveys older than the subdivision itself. Karen's smile faded. The judge leaned back, then asked one question. Do you have a recorded easement? Karen's lawyer hesitated. No, Your Honor. The judge nodded. Then this lake is private. Gasps. Karen stood up. That's not fair. The judge banged the gavel. Sit down. Case dismissed. Just like that. Outside, Karen tried to spin it. This isn't the end. But it was. The next week, the HOA removed their sign. I installed a fence, tasteful, legal, and well within my boundary. And the lake? Silent again. Months passed. The Facebook posts stopped. The trash stopped. One evening, I saw Karen standing on her side of the fence. She didn't yell. She didn't record. She just stared at the water. For a moment, I almost felt bad. Almost. But then I remembered something important. She never wanted access. She wanted control. And control doesn't come from shouting. It comes from paperwork. I cast my line. The sun dipped low, and for the first time since buying the lake, it was finally mine.